Hello everyone, back to tuning in today's third video, doing USA forecast for today's third video. So it's also on Wednesday, we're having a look at weather in the United States for the next 10 to 14 days. I shall get on that view very shortly. Just say that first video really saves our 7 AM upload. We've also released the November forecast from GavsWeatherVids, so check that one out if you'd like to see that. We've got a 10 to 14 day coming up for you later on this afternoon, and then at 7 PM tonight we're going to begin the Christmas countdown. We've got update number 1. For Christmas being released. That's going to be premiered at 7 PM. I should be in the live chat with you all, and we'll watch it together. So it's going to be an interesting watch, hopefully, at 7 PM. If you're around the channel, then check in then. Right, okay, let's get on with USA forecast. Please like, share, subscribe on videos. It's a very busy day at GavsWeatherVids today. So, yeah, give us a like if you're enjoying the content. We're going to begin in the Tropical Atlantic. So, we've got Tropical Storm Wanda here. So, Tropical Storm Wanda is giving maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 992 millibars and moving north-northeast was at 8 miles per hour. Clicking on Wanda, we can see this storm is going nowhere fast. It's just going to sort of meander around the place and then take off in that sort of direction by look of it as a post-tropical storm by the weekend and into next week. So I don't think we have to worry too much about that, although there may be impacts for the Azores from that, but I don't think there'll be any impacts from Wanda for the United States. Let's have a look at more wider view across the tropical Atlantic, Gulf of Mexico, and whatnot from the latest GFS midnight run. So just so you know where everybody is, that's the east coast of states just there. That's Florida just there. We've got the Gulf Coast just here. Gulf of Mexico is there. Caribbean's there, and then the wider waters of the tropical Atlantic through there. Right, so that's current setup. This, of course, is Wanda just here. Tropical Storm Wanda is just there. Okay, let's see what's going to happen then over the next couple of weeks if the GFS is correct. So run through, Wanda goes northwards and becomes post-tropical. Of course, there's a sort of a little area of low pressure that's developing here. That might be like it's a disturbance area. It might be a tropical storm coming up from the southeastern coast of America. It doesn't look like that one will do a great deal though. But then there's another one that's developing in its wake just here off that southeastern coast. This is on Saturday. Another area of low pressure developing off the southeast coast of America. That one deepens quite a bit as it pushes northwards. That could be a hurricane there being indicated by the beginning of next week. That's 981 millibars. It's come up from southeast coast of America. So that could well be a hurricane. Probably category 1 at 981 millibars. Of course, it might deepen further than that. And it's getting very close to like the Newfoundland coast again. So we've seen so many of these over the course of this season, but I give a glancing blow to this sort of far northeastern corner of the United States. So that's one to watch. That doesn't actually get onto the east coast itself. It stays sort of off the east coast until it gives an impact like in the Nova Scotia area up here. But of course it's pretty close to the east coast, so there might be impact certainly from sort of swells and whatnot, and you know, they have to curve a little bit closer to the east coast, and that would give an impact on the east coast. So that's one to watch through the early part of next week. That then moves out of the way. Things going a little bit quieter after that through the rest of next week. But as we run on beyond sort of day 10, so now we're up to the 13th of November, there's a significant area of low pressure just here. That's moved up out of the Gulf, I think. So that could be like a tropical storm that's pushing northwards out of the Gulf Coast into the eastern part of America. That could give a real drenching to eastern parts of America. That's a very deep area of low pressure. Something else beginning to develop just here. So you get the idea, but we aren't done with this hurricane season yet. We've had a shutdown over the past 3 or 4 weeks. It's been for a much quieter period, but you just get the idea. I've been expecting this, that we're not done. We aren't done with this hurricane season. Yeah, and we've got another area of low pressure that's developing just there. That could well become a significant storm once again. That is like the 16th, 17th of November. Look at these different disturbance areas we've got here in the Tropical Atlantic. One there, one there, one there. Any one of those could develop into a major system, you know, if they take off. So going to be a lot to keep an eye on, I think, over the next couple of weeks. There's also something coming out of the Gulf just here. So this is the 18th of November. There's an area of low pressure just there, but I think has its origins down around the Gulf Coast. So, yeah, there's a lot to keep an eye on over the next couple of weeks, and I reckon, you know, there's going to be more to come from this hurricane season. A lot of people have been thinking, I think, because we've had such an extended period without much going on, have this shutdown, but that's it for the season. But the seasonary temperatures are still well above average through most of the North Atlantic, and you know, so I'm going to take one of these to really blow up into a major hurricane and head towards the United States, and we've got problems. So plenty to keep an eye on over the next week or two in terms of this tropical storm / hurricane season, and we'll be keeping you updated, of course, at GavsWeatherVids. Right, so these are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles the next couple of weeks. We're at New York City today. Red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for New York. We're starting off below average at the moment. It has gone cold across many northern and eastern parts of America, as we anticipated last week. Yeah, you know, it's pretty cold at the moment. That's going to carry on through the first week of November. Into the second week of November, we get a warm up. The upper air temperature start to lift up then. And as we get to the middle part of November, initially quite mild, and then maybe a drop in the temperature, but that's also associated with a lot of rain. That could be one of those sort of areas of low pressure that may have their origins as a tropical storm or hurricane coming into play around the middle part of the month. Before that, though, loads of dry weather. So there'll be plenty of dry weather for eastern parts of America, starting cold and then becoming milder, and then maybe turning very wet and stormy sometime around the middle part of the month. Temperature anomalies for America for the next week. It's from the 3rd to 7th of November. A little bit cooler than average, actually, in these eastern and southeastern states. That's left over from, you know, that's cold weather that's left over at the moment. The trend probably next week will be milder. Many of these central states, mild on average, colder as we come over towards the Pacific coast. And precipitation-wise, many parts of America looking quite dry. It's a little bit wetter down towards Florida. And in the far northwestern corner of the Pacific coast, again, looks a little bit wetter there. Otherwise, quite a dry scene through many parts of the states in the week ahead. That's from the 3rd to 11th of November. Current situation across America is that much of the central and eastern part of the states under this ridge of high pressure is quite a cold ridge, it must be said. So the upper air temperatures, as we've already established, in the north and the east and through the Midwest are colder than average. It is milder, though, out into those western states. Over the next couple of days, that ridge will continue to sit across central and eastern parts of America. That will bring further, mainly dry weather, but will be quite cold under that area of high pressure. Out west, we're going to draw up a milder or a warmer southwesterly from southern climes, push out northwards into those central states. Low pressure coming off the Pacific, probably bring colder and more unsettled conditions into the far northwest. Over the weekend, that ridge will sort of weaken and will start to allow milder air bank to push northwards, even into those eastern states, so temperatures will begin to trend upwards as we go through the weekend and probably into the early part of next week. Notice that area of low pressure just there, that could well be a tropical storm off the eastern coast of America. May even be a ex-hurricane, and that gets up towards, the far northeastern corner of Canada as we move through into the beginning of next week. Never impacts the east coast, but it does get quite close to the east coast states, so that needs to be kept a little bit of an eye on. By the beginning of next week, high pressure is dominating across the central eastern states. Most areas looking significantly milder or warmer by the early part of next week. There's the upper air temperatures. It is colder in the far northwest, but otherwise generally quite a warmish sort of scene across most of the states through the beginning of next week. Moving up towards day 10, quite a deep area of low pressure and starts getting going in the Midwest. That will bring potentially a little bit of a deluge and start to pull some cold air in from the north as well. And then keep an eye on this area of low pressure down here around the Gulf Coast. That could be a tropical storm. It's moved out of the Gulf Coast. That's pushing northwards and could well combine with that area of low pressure, northern parts of the states, to form a very significant area of low pressure through the Midwest by the time we get through to day 10, which is Saturday the 13th of November, a really deep area of low pressure. That brings warmth up the east coast of America, that pulls cold air down on the western side of the area of low pressure through the Midwest, and that low sits around the Midwest, probably around the Great Lakes, that sort of area, bringing in cold air from the north, so that could be a little bit of a snowstorm. So rain on the east side of that area of low pressure, going to the eastern side, and then on the western side of the low pressure, with cold air being brought in from Canada, that might bring some snow, maybe like the first significant sort of snowstorm to some parts of the Midwest possible there with that area of low pressure. As the upper air temperature does look relatively warm at the eastern seaboard, but around the west side of that low pressure, we are drawing the -5 Celsius ice, which is cold air, drawing that southwards right away to the Gulf Coast, actually. So that's the kind of thing that might deliver significant snow, a bit of a snowstorm potentially through the Midwest there around the middle part of November. That low pressure then gets out of the way. High pressure starts to re-establish. That will be within relatively cold air. As we get to the end of the GFS run, we're looking like that. So nowhere near as cold, generally a milder scene, particularly out west where it does look quite warm under this ridge of high pressure. Right, so that's the GFS done. This is how the ECM is looking just here, the Euro. So again, at the moment, all much of a muchness across many parts of America, with this cold ridge sitting here across the northern and east areas. Upper air temperatures for tomorrow are looking pretty cold through much of the north and eastern midwestern parts of the states. Into the weekend, that area of high pressure sort of slips out into the Atlantic. It starts to draw up milder air from the south. We've got this area of low pressures here that could well be a tropical storm off the southeastern coast of America that runs up the east coast, a little bit closer to the eastern seaboard, with the ECM, with this low, which, as I say, could well be a tropical storm. So that does need to be kept a close eye on. Just off the east coast there, a little bit closer to the eastern seaboard than the GFS has it. Eventually pushes up towards northeastern tip of Canada, and then gets out of the way. So by the time we get through to the early to middle part of next week, we're back in a ridge of high pressure in the east. Low pressure in the west will bring colder air and outbreaks of rain, sleet or snow into these northwestern states, but eastern and northeastern areas mainly dry and a ridge of high pressure, and will be a little bit warmer as well. And then we get this very significant area of low pressure again setting up through the Midwest as we go into towards day 10 and beyond it. And so that starts to pull in colder air from the north. On the east side of the low, we're drawing up warm air from the south, but behind the low, west side of the low, we draw down colder air from the north. So that might develop into a significant area of low pressure sometime around the middle part of November. It might deliver the first major snowstorm of the season to parts of Northern America and the Midwest. Very gradually, we're descending into winter. Right, CFS V2 finally, and then we're done. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period will take us from the 2nd to the 8th of November. The coming week, we'll have the ridge of high pressure through these northern states, low pressure of the west coast, bringing more unsettled conditions there. And then this area of low pressure in the east of the northeast. That's the legacy of the cold weather that we've got at the moment. Into week 2, which is the night to the 15th of November. Ridge forming in the east, low pressure around Florida, might be sort of tropical storm or something that model's picking up on. Low pressure out to the northwest as well. That brings cooler, wet weather into west, but northern east areas probably milder and drier. Week 3 is the 16th, 22nd of November. High pressure then moves up towards northeastern Canada and also to Greenland. Probably low pressures coming in through here, I would have thought. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 23rd, 29th of November, with low pressure sort of through the north and east. That's going to be a cold trough. That will bring the jet stream southwards and pull cold air out of Canada, with a ridge of high pressure over towards the west. That's going to be a milder ridge there, of course. Temperature anomalies for week 1, the 2nd to the 8th of November, mild and average in the north and west, significantly below average show through those central, southern, eastern and northeastern states. Week 2 goes much milder. It is still cooler or colder in the southeastern corner, but otherwise very mild or even quite warm scene, especially through these northern parts of America. A little bit cooler out towards the west coast. And then we get through into week 3, which is 16th to 22nd of November. A little bit cooler in the far north, otherwise milder than average in most parts of America. And then week 4, just generally milder from coast to coast, milder than average from the west coast all the way over to the east coast. Precipitation-wise, for week 1, 2nd, 8th of November, wetter than average in the southeast corner, drier than average in the north and in the northeast, near normal out west. Week 2 is going to be the 9th to 15th of November, wetter than average in the northwest, drier than average in the east and southeast. Week 3 is just generally above average rainfall or precipitation across most parts of America, average to above average. And then week 4 is 23rd, 29th. That's a little bit drier than average in the east, nearer normal elsewhere. Right, so quite a bit to keep an eye on. I think the two major points are going to be the chance of some very cold and wintry weather the middle part of November through the north and the Midwest, and potentially the first, significant snowstorm of the season with that area of low pressure. And of course, the more bigger picture is like what's going on still with this hurricane tropical storm season. We have had a shutdown for around 3 to 4 weeks, been through a very, very quiet period. October, has been relatively quiet, but I think there's more to come, and we see that from what we just saw with the GFS tropical tidbits. There could well be more storms developing over the next couple of weeks that will need to be kept a very close eye on. Right, okay, so we'll keep you updated on all of that at GavsWeatherVids, and we'll do USA forecast all over again next Wednesday, of course. But for this week's USA forecast, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.